Greetings, everyone. Dr. Brian Scott. Insight to the end times. Where are we in God's timetable? We're getting so close that we are just getting so close. That's the bottom line. We're getting so close. When you were in school, you waited for the bell to ring at the end of the day so you could go home. In the last half an hour, the last 20 minutes, the last 10 minutes, it seemed to be so slow in terms of going by. And when that 3:30 came along, wow, the bell went off and you knew you were free, you could run out. We're almost at the bell. We're almost at the bell where the church is going to be raptured and all these other events of the tribulation period and so on are going to occur. This last couple of days, we've been studying world events and national events and things that are occurring in our society today that are just so foreign to us vis-a-vis what we've always known. And we're seeing the woke movement, which is very difficult to define what it is. It seems to change all the time. We're seeing the DIE movement, the diversity, inclusivity, equality movement. We're seeing the gender movements, the sexual status movements. We're seeing all kinds of things that are just upsetting the entire system that we've known. And today I want to bring you some highlights of a situation that I find just absolutely incomprehensible. This comes from a newspaper article I read in one of our national newspapers. It was printed and was in the paper on Saturday, July the 29th. So that's just a couple weeks ago. And it was entitled Defaming the Group of Seven. Let me explain this to you. In the early 1900s here in Canada, there were 7 landscape artists. They painted absolutely gorgeous landscape paintings of the Canadian North. They became known as the Group of Seven, and their paintings are exceptional. They're in our National Gallery. They're in other galleries across Canada. My wife and I have gone specifically just to see their paintings. They're absolutely gorgeous, and if they do come on the market, they usually attract 6-figure and sometimes even close to 7 figures to purchase one of their paintings. They are that well known. They're known as Canadian icons. Well, there's a display that is occurring right now at our National Gallery in Ottawa. It is depicting images of black racism is essentially what seems to be the core objective of this mural that is being displayed at the National Gallery, and it is really coming against the Group of Seven. Let me explain what I've read in this article. The inference is that the Group of Seven had supremacist elements or attitudes. And it all relates to an article or two that appeared in a 1911 edition of the Maclean's magazine. This is a Canadian magazine, not unlike Time magazine or what used to be called Life magazine in the States. I've had subscriptions to all 3 of those over the years. But Maclean's is a standard here in Canada. And in the 1911 edition of the Maclean's magazine, there was an article where the individual concluded that black people may be unsuitable to the development of the highest sort of citizenship in Canada. So this article was written by an individual. It was focusing on this area. That was his conclusion. This is 1911, I'm telling you, and so on. At the same time, on a totally different page preceding this article, so it appeared earlier in the magazine, totally unrelated to that article, there was an article on an under construction skyscraper being built, I presume in Toronto, and there were pencil sketches of the skyscraper that had been drawn by one of the Group of Seven artists, Lauren Harris. Now, somehow or other, the artist who's displaying this mural in Ottawa right now at the National Gallery drew the conclusion, leading up to the mural, this person drew the conclusion that because the pencil sketch appeared in the same magazine as the article about black citizenship in Canada, that they were related. That the pencil sketch artist, therefore, was condoning and was supporting this other article. This is over 100 years ago. It's unfathomable that anyone could come to a conclusion like that. It's guilt by association, and there's no association. But as a result of that, now there's all kinds of comment coming forth. There's comments in support of the group of seven, and there's comments coming who are not supportive of the group of seven. These individuals are long gone. Their work is absolutely like it's their legacy. It's absolutely amazing artwork. I wish I owned at least one, if not several pieces of it. It is just that, it just has that kind of merit. But the people coming against it are coming out of the diversity, inclusivity, equality background, and they're claiming that it's quite obvious that these individual painters must have been in support of this article. Apparently there was another connection where someone that worked with them periodically in a consulting capacity was in support of the conclusion that this man wrote about, and because they knew that individual, that they must have supported it. They're drawing at straws. They're grasping at straws. They're inventing all of this. But the pressure that is now coming on the leadership of the gallery, the National Gallery, looks as if they may be bending to the pressure of the DIE movement, the woke movement. And what others are writing and saying is that we're very, very concerned that they're going to take a deconstruction attitude towards this situation rather than taking a historical accuracy position. What am I really saying here? Does this make any sense, first of all? Does it make any sense that there's association because the articles are in the same magazine? Like, give me a break. How can we be so blind that we can come to such absurd conclusions? And why would we ever do so? Well, it's because of these times we live in. The perilous times, the confusing times, the deceiving times, the dark times, the gross darkness. It is covering and coming after every area of our life, even in the arts, and even against what we consider to be Canadian giants, Canadian icons. So these are really wild days. Wild days. We've said it before. We'll say it again. 2 Timothy 3:1, 1 Timothy 4:1, 2 Timothy 3:11, Isaiah 60 verse 2. These are all verses that talk about these days in which we're living. These are days when we must get back to truth. We must get back to biblical standards. We must get back to preparing ourselves for the coming of the Lord in the clouds to receive the church before the tribulation period begins. Things will get darker and darker as we go along. We need to be aware of it. This just points out to us that this is happening everywhere we look. And may truth prevail, and may common sense prevail. I'll see you next, I guess we got a couple more days this week. I'll see you before this week is out, but I call you blessed. Amen.